Alrighty, there's gonna be one more video before I get to you from the seat of a tractor. I want to give them fields a little bit more of a chance to dry out, so I'm gonna hit them this afternoon. But this morning I figured I'd take advantage of the beautiful weather to get the planter over here and get it calibrated, so that all I got to do when I switch hybrids is switch sprockets and run with it. And this is actually going to be the first time I've actually got a choice of sprockets, because before, or not sprockets, but seed plates, because before these were the only plates I had for round seed. Everything else I got is for flats, and flats don't work worth a shit in plate planters. So if you're on a plate planter, get medium rounds. And the only difference between rounds and flats are the rounds come off of either end of the cob, and then the flats come from the center. So you get rounds and flats off of the same corn plant. It's just where they come from, where they come off the cob at, that determines whether they're rounds or flats. But anyway, before all I had was these plates, and earlier, it would have been last fall, one of my buddies I went to Purdue with, his dad used to farm with Olivers. And he actually, I wish he still had them, he had two 540 planters set up on a squadron hitch so that he could plant so he's pulling 8-row planter, but they were two separate planters hooked on basically a tow bar that put them right side by side. And then and this was actually an Oliver setup. It was a factory deal, and then they had, you took the two marker arms off the center, and then they had a custom set of double fold marker arms that you bought to stick on them, so that you had 8-row marker arms on them too. So he unfortunately did not have the planters or the squadron hitch anymore, but he still had a shit ton of planter plates hanging in the barn. And he I can't remember if I think I got 7 or 8 sets of plates from him. He just gave them to me, and a bunch of other planter parts and crap he had. He still had the marker arms laying out in the pasture. I almost got them just for shits and giggles, but I was like, what the hell am I going to do with 8-row marker arms? So, but anyway, I'm going to start with the AgriGold, because it's going to be the closest to what I planted last year. So hopefully I won't change the sprockets, just drop the plates in, measure it. But the easiest, or you can tell how similar hybrids are by looking at the seeds per pound. This 6267 is 1,463 seeds per pound. This 6462 is 1,440 seeds per pound. So these are almost identical. They're only off by about 20 seeds, which ain't shit. And you can also tell by looking, no matter what seed company you buy from, no matter what hybrid you get, every bag of corn, just industry standard, is 80,000 seeds. So the other way to tell how similar they are in size is to look at the size of the bag. This one's 55.6 pounds, this is 54.7 pounds. So this bag's not quite a pound lighter, which in the grand scheme of things means that them kernels are basically the exact same size. There's first choice, FC570. Unfortunately, they do not have the seeds per pound on the tag, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but they do have the pounds per bag marked on here, and it's 50.1. So these kernels are going to be a lot bigger than these two. So this one is definitely going to take a different set of plates, and these two are probably going to take the same plates. And I'm thinking, because these, and I doubt you're going to actually be able to tell the difference between these plates on this camera, and you could barely tell without measuring it. But basically, you look at the depth of the cell on these are the biggest, and basically you just look from the tip of here to the back of the seed slot is basically right up to this angle. This is the next size smaller, and you look from here to the tip of the seed slot, or to the tip of the seed slot. There's a little bit of meat in between the back of the seed slot and that angle on the plate. And on this one, same deal. You look from here to the back of the slot, there's quite a bit of iron there. So these are the biggest, medium, small. So I'm thinking, because this set of plates was always just a tad big, so I'm thinking at least this Agrigold is probably going to take one of these two, and I'm thinking that First Choice might actually take those, but we're going to find out. So we're going to start, and we'll start with the biggest seed and go from there. Come out of there. And if you look, that slot is just a shade too small. Neighbor must have got done plowing his garden last night. So those plates are out. And that slot right there is just about right, because you're definitely not going to be able to get 2 kernels in there. So that should eliminate any doubles. So I'm thinking it's going to be that plate for this bag anyway. And one thing I will give this planter, for circa 1964-ish technology, and still being a plate planter, I am very impressed with how accurate this thing is. Granted, it's not, this planter had a really good life. Somebody took really good care of it. So it's not beat to shit or anything. And so it's not all, the seed hub here isn't all wore out, but still, as far as planters go, this old girl does a very good job. Is it as good as a white pressure planter? No, but I'd put it up against a vacuum planter any day of the week. Alright, I got the plates in, got just enough seed in the back, or in all 4 boxes to cover the bottom. And now I'm going to show you how to calibrate a planter. And this is the same for all of them. No matter if it's a new planter, old planter, plate planter, vacuum planter, pressure planter. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a pass at roughly about the speed you're going to be planting at. And it ain't got to be very, you got to get at least 7, well, how far you drive depends on your row width, but since I'm on 30s, I need at least 17.5 feet, and I'll explain that in a minute. cold-blooded, this son of a bitch. Alrighty, get me a tape measure. You want to go in the house bay? Okay, I guess before I go back after I explain the 17.5 feet thing. And if you don't, well, if you farm outside of Michigan, Ohio, or Illinois, this book's really not going to do you any good. But if you farm in Michigan, Illinois, or Ohio, or Indiana, I highly suggest you get one of these. You can buy them off of Purdue's website. I got them for free because I had to use them in a couple classes, so I've actually got 2 or 3 of these things. Okay, so basically what you do is you got to know your row spacing. I'm planting 30s, so to measure one row and get 1/1000th of an acre, you take 1 30-inch row and measure out 17.5 feet, or 17 feet 5 inches, and then you count how many kernels of corn there are in that 17 feet 5 inches and multiply it by 1,000, and then that'll give you your plant population per acre. And it's different for every row width. So if you're planting wide, let's say you're planting wide rows, you're on 38, you measure out 13 feet 9 inches. If you're drilling and you're 6 or 7.5, 6 inches, you're gonna measure 74 feet 8 inches for a 7-inch row. So pretty simple, which is the reason I wanted to go at least 17.5 feet. And the reason I did all 4 boxes is that gives me 4 reps, so you add up all of them and average them together, and that'll give you an average of the whole planter. Spacing is looking pretty damn awesome. This planter is, for a plate planter, is accurate as hell. I am very proud of this thing. So, the other thing that would probably make this a little easier is I could go or get some orange spray paint. Except for the fact I don't, well, I mean, I could paint the yard because I'd got to mow it anyway, but take some orange spray paint, mark off 2 lines, and just plant through them. That way you don't got to measure it off every time. But, so, 17, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 209 inches. So we got 1, come here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's got to be one in here somewhere. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and we've got a double, so don't count doubles, so we're at 30, 31, 32, 33. So multiply that by 1,000, that gives me 33,000, and I want to be at 32,000. But before I do any adjustments, I got to do the same thing to all 4 rows and average them together and see where I'm at. So I'll do that real quick, and we'll go from there. Alright. Well, that first row came out at 33 and all the rest came out at 32. But there was a few more doubles in there than what I would have liked, so I think I am going to put those smaller plates in and see if I can't get it to come out a little better. But that basically gives you the gist of how this works. So heck, I'll skip all the boring parts and come back to you when I'm done. Well, worked out pretty darn good. I got her set right dead nuts. Well, actually, it's not right dead nuts. It's probably, if I averaged everything out, it's about 32,500, which is probably about as close as I'm going to get it, because there's not a sprocket combination that gives me a gear ratio in between the one I had on before and this one, which is fine. I'm going to take it. I put that different set of plates in. That virtually eliminated my doubles. Didn't see any, there's not really any skips. I did, when I put them new plates in, it got rid of a bunch of, all them doubles, and it actually lowered my population a bit, so I did have to bump it up one more sprocket. And she came out damn near perfect. So, and I don't know how I lucked out, but I don't have to change the plates or the sprockets for any of that seed. I've run all three through and they all come with the same plates, the same sprocket, which the sprocket makes sense because they're all 16 cell plates. So as long as you're running a 16 cell plate, if you plant in the same population with every hybrid, you shouldn't have to change the drive speed. You still have to change the plates, but all three of them seeds fit in the same plates, which also tells me I probably need a shade bit smaller plate or cell plate for them two Agrigold hybrids, since that first choice hybrid is actually a bigger seed. But one, I don't have any smaller plates, and two, I've pretty much got rid of all the doubles anyway, so I'll take it for 1960s plate planter. So I think I'll wait and probably bring the chisel plow down here and get it greased up and go over around noon and check, see how dry them fields are, and hopefully by 1, 2 o'clock we're going to be working some ground. So I guess that does it for this one. We'll catch you guys in a little bit, actually.